Insights with Terri Ep.168 a weekly look through the eyes of predictive astrologer Terri Ep.168. Here's Terri.
Hi everyone, this is Terri, and you're listening to Insights with Terri Ep.168. Thank you for joining me for the exploration of the week of May the 12th through the 19th. Now, I'm sure I don't have to discuss with you the geostorm that's been showering us. I think it started on Friday, if I'm not mistaken. There was little bits on just coming up to Friday, and then Saturday I think it's supposed to be tapering off for the Sunday. So I would like to have a little different exploration of that than what's been on the news. They've shown some amazing pictures and just absolutely beautiful. And there's nothing I like better than the Northern Lights, looking at them out here on the farm. I personally didn't get to see much. It was cloudy, and I have so many trees here that I didn't see much. I have seen the Northern Lights, absolutely astounding, when I was up north. Actually, I saw them over the Detroit River one time. But what I want to discuss with you is the electromagnetic field that this generates. Now, that may last for a little while, and we don't have all the answers. I don't have all the answers, but it's going to play into a few things that you may experience as a human being and as a being that does generate an electromagnetic field and receives one. We are run by one, if you think about it. If our electrical field, our neurons quit, so would we. So they're very important. Those messages from our brain to our body is very important, and this can interfere. Now, everybody has a different level of sensitivity, so you may want to observe yourself and your animals. Don't forget your animals; they can't tell you. And you may see things that are a little bit different, or feel something that's a little bit different. And it'd be interesting, maybe at the end of it, that if you have friends that ascribe to the same type of thinking, or even sometimes the universe nudges somebody to share a circumstance with us or a thought, and that triggers thinking of our own in our own way as well. So we may be taught a little bit about how the electromagnetic field outside of us affects the inside of us and the outside of us as well. My brother brought to my attention yesterday, we were discussing things, and he said, "Do you remember when I was young and you told me to feel the trees, the energy of the trees?" And he said, "I've noticed how in the spring they don't have the energy that they do in the fall, because it is a different type of energy." And he said he was noticing how the energetic field, from his understanding and his perception, was pulling him in. So the tree pulled him in, requesting energy, requesting help, healing. And he would sit and offer that, taking it from infinity. And then in the fall, the trees give back what they've accumulated through the summer. And he said he felt the push from a tree. The tree wasn't trying to push him away. It was offering energy, and then he respectfully accepted it. I know it sounds a little hairy, but it is what it is. I can feel it too. I feel it more when I go out to British Columbia and those trees are older. Like, some of them are over 550 years old. Some are 1,000. And oh my gosh, I can hardly stand up in their presence. It's overwhelming. So we've just been the recipients of this field, and how did it affect you? So maybe you could spend a little bit of time with your body and your mind and think about, was there anything that was different? Some of you may not feel anything, and some will feel something. Just as an observation from my perspective, I was watching the animals. I found that the dogs went through phases of getting antsy. They just couldn't sit still. If it was one dog, I probably wouldn't notice. With 15 dogs, I noticed. I thought, what is the matter with you? Just sit down. And one of the dogs I did finally have to put into one of the really big crates with a big chew bar just to take the pressure off. She was just pacing, not terrified, not scared, just restless, didn't know what to do with herself, into this. And I had exercised them, so it wasn't that. And then they seemed to get all the air taken out of them, and they all just flopped all over and just laid down there for a long time, to the point that I had to, is anybody in there? Are you guys okay? I wish I'd have known it ahead of time. We could have all had a nap. So they kind of went through these phases, I noticed, and then I watched my fowl outside doing the same thing. Some of them were all laying down and just like quietly contemplating whatever it is that ducks, turkey, and chickens contemplate. Now, I would understand that if the sun was out. They do that. It's not unusual for them to, voraciously eat the ticks and the ants and the mosquitoes and the flies, and then lay down and dust themselves in the dust, and then get the sun. But there was no sun, and it wasn't particularly warm and pleasant. Yet they were just laying down, and their heads were tucked around their wings, the way they do kind of on their back and underneath the wing. And that's understandable if it's chilly. But they weren't out busy eating, and even the eating part, usually when they know I'm going to feed them, it's like a panic running to me, who's going to be first and get the most corn or the most wheat. And they just kind of took their time. Actually didn't even check in on, what day was it, Saturday. They didn't even check in for their grain. They were just out doing whatever it is that ducks and turkeys and chickens do. So there was definitely a difference in their cycle, in their way that they were behaving. To try to figure it all out, I'm probably not going to figure it all out. I just noticed a difference. So it'd be interesting to see if there's any feedback from you, if you want to educate me on anything that you experienced. I always enjoy the feedback, so don't be afraid to let me know how you were affected, or were you? Some people might just have been so busy they wouldn't notice this. So, but any feedback I'd appreciate, just because it teaches me. Now, to the astrology part, where our sun sign is still in Taurus, which is the bull, and in Venus, which is the planet of love, beauty, and attraction. That's in Taurus. That will change on the 24th to Gemini. And we'll discuss that. And Mercury, the planet of the mind, how we think, how we communicate, up until the 16th is in Aries, which is that fire energy, that restlessness, that need to be impulsive and go, will migrate to the bull on the 16th. So then we'll have the bull in the sun sign, we'll have it in Mercury, how we think, how we communicate, and we'll be moving away from it. It'll be in Venus for a little bit till the 24th, and then we'll move away from that. So that is a more determined energy, more filled with thought before doing. So with that, it offers us the strength to persevere, to find out what we want to do and accomplish it, because we won't give up. You're just not as inclined to give up. It just moving forward. And so this energy will offer you the opportunity of all that you've gathered in the last little bit with Aries, the impulse, the creative mind that Aquarius offered us, the wanting to be perfect with Capricorn. When we accumulate all of that and put it together and turn it into a smoothie, we're looking at that impulse, which is still in Mars, to drive us forward, but the ability of the bull to make us stick with it until it's done and finished, which is a good energy. I noticed it in some of the projects that I had for the spring. I have, as a farm, there's a lot to do and a lot to persevere because your equipment doesn't want to play with you, right? There's just a lot. And at times I saw some of the people that were working, getting the planters ready, getting the plows ready, getting their equipment ready. The compressor wouldn't work, or the stem on the valve of the tire, or the tire's flat. Just want to say, enough. I don't want to do this. I'm so sick of this. but they feel that with that impulse of Aries, but then take a breath, maybe have a drink of water, and then get back to it and get it done. And that's what the bull offers. The Aries energy says, that's it, I'm done, I don't want to do this anymore, I don't want to play the game. But the bull pushes us to finish the job, which we need. Thank you. I'd like jobs finished. And then, as I said, I would discuss on the next week, the week coming, which the 24th, Venus will move from Taurus into Gemini. Now, Gemini is, when I say fickle, I don't mean like a fickle bad. I mean, it's just so distracted by so many things that everything is interesting and the mind is going 1,000 miles an hour. So it's much like walking a dog that isn't paying any attention to you and is pulling on the leash and wants to smell here and wants to smell there. Oh, I'm going to bark at that dog. Oh, I'm going to look over here. I'm going to go over here. Oh, I want to see that over there. Can't do it fast enough. And that's what that energy is. And Venus being the energy field that wants us, that attracts us to things, this is a great energy to maybe look at, what do I want to learn? Are there any courses that I want to take? So we can direct our inability to stay focused in an area that might be of interest, that would hold our interest long enough to not make us look airheaded or scatterbrained or moving in circles. So there's some opportunities here. The beginning of the week, if you have a vulnerable heart, or your aorta or higher or lower blood pressure or blood circulation, that's a vulnerable area for us. And the heart as a mechanism and as an emotional container, matters of the heart may be first and foremost the beginning of the week. Challenging, so just keep an eye on that. Not like we can do much about it, just be aware and how do we handle it. Then as we move to the middle of the week, watch your pancreas, your small intestine, your digestive tract. So if you have a gentle stomach, be gentle with it, because it won't tolerate a whole bunch of bad behavior. So I will look at my dogs during that time. I'm careful what I feed them. Some of them are, how would you say it? Some of them are, very sensitive to fat, or maybe if they go and steal too many eggs, it would disrupt their little tummies. So I'm just careful with the dogs that are sensitive to that, and a little bit more cognizant of what could possibly go wrong with their tummies, because the cleanup isn't always fun, and I don't want my little guys to suffer at all, that they can't tell you that they don't feel well. So I have a couple of them with very sensitive stomachs, and if they're stressed or anything, it shows up there. Just be aware of that. They can't talk to us, and sometimes my heart bleeds because people don't, just because the dog's not complaining, or the cat, or the animal, they think they're okay, but they're not. And animals tend to be still and quiet and silent about some of their ills. That's nature. They don't, if they do complain about it, attention's brought to them and they could be a victim or vulnerable. So they tend to be very stoic. So it's our job to be prepared to watch them and be aware of what they're going through, even though they don't have the words that we do, but they certainly do have the body language. Then towards Saturday and Sunday, the weakness, the vulnerability will be the kidneys, the bladder, a urinary bladder, your ureter. If you tend to infections or any of that type of thing, you might be a little bit more vulnerable. So if all of a sudden you have some of these symptoms, just take it seriously and do whatever it is that you normally do to take care of that vehicle we call our body. Now, I pulled a couple of cards for us, and one of the things that kind of screams out at me is they're really trying to give us the message, I'm going to say, of planning. Really kind of looking ahead and planning. And maybe being a little bit more proactive in what we do, what we say, what we think, how we manage things, as opposed to reactive. So I'm noticing more reactivity, and I think they want us to move away from that if it's possible. So reactivity in a human, one of the circumstances might be, say a person is always late, and they know that they're always late. They know it. I always arrive 5 to 10 minutes late, and it causes me stress, or it causes the person that's waiting for us stress. Recognize that behavior pattern, and maybe get yourself ready 20 minutes before you're even supposed to be ready, so that you have that buffer to not cause yourself stress. They're just saying plan. Know yourself, know your circumstances, know what your habits are, and plan for it as much as you possibly can. And that's what we're supposed to be doing. Now, on that vein, the Hermit came up, which is a major card. And the Hermit means don't be afraid to take time to be quiet and still, to know yourself, to get to work on things that you need to, or to just back up for a little bit and not be so scattered by the phone, the texts, the telephones going off, the TV, people talking. It gets to be a lot of noise. So it may be something with this Hermit card that it's not lonely necessarily, but it is suggesting that we go within, seek the answers from within. I would never be able to do a reading for people if I didn't go quiet and let the information float down and be accessible to me. If my mind was going 1,000 miles an hour, and I tried too hard, I wouldn't get the answers. I wouldn't get the information. It's really about faith and softening and letting it happen. Just, you can't force this kind of stuff. And that's what the Hermit wants us to look at. Also, in the physical part, which is money, security, comforts, health, body, they're suggesting that we do need to look at what we're afraid of, and it's turned around. So we look at what we're afraid of, and then how do we turn that fear around and let it work for us and give us strength instead of taking strength away. And look at what our fears are. Are they unwarranted, or are they real? There's been a lot of pressure put on people in the money end of things, and fear of poverty, fear of climate change, fear of losing our homes, fear of interest rates. That is all normal. But is it warranted? Is there something that you can do about it instead of scaring yourselves to death? And look at are we careless with this? And is the fear of failure so great that we're creating it to have it happen? So this pressure that's going to be put on us this week may be that we need to spend wisely, that we need to look at saving more money for situations that are unforeseen, and then there's a security in that, balancing our budget, being self-disciplined enough to deny ourselves and then go and do it. So there'll be some pressure on some people with security, physical security, finances. Maybe that could preoccupy us, and then we wouldn't listen to what we do need to hear from the universe. So that's it. There were some emotional cards about some of us not being able to celebrate, the opposite of being happy for weddings and showers and human celebrations. It's upside down. So we do need to find the little things that we can celebrate, like pajamas. And what sacrifices are we making that are productive? Or are we becoming a victim ourselves to the sacrifices that we're making? It's good to make sacrifices for other people. It's good to be compassionate and to do the things that we need to do. But if the cost is resentment, if the cost is anger, passive aggressive, then it's not worth it. Don't become the victim. So they're just suggesting that is just look at why we're doing what we're doing and how we're doing it. So that's it in a nutshell, kids. Thank you so much for sharing your time with me. I'm so grateful for that. You have no idea. I mean that sincerely. And sincerely, I thank Charlie O'Brien for putting this podcast on Spotify Podcasts, Apple iTunes, Amazon Music, SoundCloud, YouTube. He gives me the link and for YouTube, and then I pass that on to Facebook. And he's also created the website, www.terriworld.com, where he has archived some of the podcasts that if you've missed any, or you just want to go and reevaluate them again, or just catch up. There's 4 or 5 of them up there. And you can look and see what the dogs are doing on that website. We started another class on May the 7th. So if you have a dog that needs to blow out some exercise, there are drop-in available. It's Tuesday nights from 6 o'clock to 7. Usually it's a 5-week session, 1 hour a week. But there are some people that just can't commit to that, so they just drop in and just take what they get, and it's fun. It's on the farm. It's a lot of nice people with the common thread of loving their animals and enjoying nature, even if nature includes ticks sometimes. So again, thank you, Charlie, so much for doing this, and thank all of you for listening and sharing your time with me. If you would like a reading or some help with your dog, don't be afraid to give me a shout. You can text or call 519-726-6699, or you can email me at terri.coutts@gmail.com. Thanks again, everybody. Have yourself a great Mother's Day and a good week to follow. Bye for now.
Thanks for listening to Insights with Terri Coots. Visit Terri's website at terriworld.com. TERRI world.com.